sometimes it's a lot because you're doing your business and there's like, you want to do it all. And then you're like, wait, I need to like bite size this thing or else,
Yeah.
You'll never get there if you try to do everything in a week. You got to just grow on growth, baby steps, and kind of always move forward, keep moving on forward and get it done.
Welcome everyone to episode 5. Today we have Steve. Steve is one of the contractors within our community, and he's been with us for about, how long have you been with us, Steve?
Probably 4 or 5 months now.
Yeah, 4 or 5 months. He just got actually Contractor of the Month the other day, and he's making some great improvements, some great growth within his business, and I'm super excited to have him on today. Steve, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, what's the name of your company, and what do you guys do?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm based out of Port Jefferson, Long Island, which is New York State, and we've been in business probably about 6 years now. I've been out on my own, and we're a general contracting company. We do everything from commercial and residential remodels. A lot are on the mid to large size projects on the residential space where we're kind of revamping people's entire houses, the layout, the way the house flows. We work with different designers to make sure that the goals are met, that the clients really want to see impactful change in their home. And going on 6 years and excited to, hopefully another 20 more.
Great, man. That's awesome. You're working on a pretty significant project right now. You want to tell us a little bit about that job that you're working on?
Yeah, this one,
the old
special
project.
Yep. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. This one's special because it's a historical home. It took us like 2 years of vetting, interviewing with the clients, making sure we fit well together. This one's special because you don't get houses like this that often anymore that are, full of history, built in the late 1800s with just incredible craftsmanship throughout the house, from the doors, the doorknobs, all the trim, every square inch of trim is just absolutely gorgeous. So this one's special to get to work on something like that. And the house went through a few owners, obviously, since the late 1800s, and then it sat vacant for a while and kind of had some vandalism issues and just, water damage, etc. Then 2 brave owners took it on, and, they worked with a great design firm. We got a great team on the project, and they have also poured their heart and soul into this project. And, it's a huge undertaking, a waterfront property, about, I think it's 16 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, a lot of square footage. Yeah, it's massive. You can't get a lot of this stuff anymore that we're building. So a lot of it we have to make. So it's really, it's a different type of project because you can't just run to Home Depot or the supply yard and, say, oh, give me this molding. Like a lot of this stuff we're getting either remilled or we're making it ourselves. We'll take a block of wood and take a template from something that is in good shape, and then my guys are crafting it on site, trying to really stay true to the era of the house. It's just been really, really special to work on it because these houses like this don't come along that often, and then being selected and trusted really to put our work in this house has been outstanding.
Oh man, it's awesome. I love following along on your social. Where can people I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I want if anybody's like interested in learning about this project that Steve and his company is working on, you can follow him along on Instagram. He's growing to become more active on Instagram, which is great. And so Steve, where can people follow you on Instagram if they want to follow along with this project?
It's at Seaview_contracting_LLC.
Love it, man. We got it right there posted up. So that's awesome. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about this project, I know Steve the other day posted the comparison of a 2x4 from 100 years ago to the 2x4 today. And, and these are the type of contractors that we get to work with. They're knowledgeable. I knew this. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this too, that are listening potentially. And if you're not, the way stuff was built before is not like the way it's built today. It's not built as good as it was prior. So just tell us a little bit more about this job and like what are some of the areas that you're going to be revamping or renovating or rehabbing that are going to be kind of special and significant to the project?
So we're pretty much doing the whole house. We started probably a year ago, probably closer to 2 years ago. We rebuilt the kitchen, and working with the designers, I saw the layout, the color schemes, and it was different. So I was questioning their choices, but that's what they do, and we trusted it. Then after learning more and doing a lot of my own research, all their choices were very specific to match how it would have been in the 1800s. So the color choices and the flooring styles and even details down to like the shelving that we installed. So that was a big piece of the project, was getting the kitchen ready so that the house can be usable. Now we're going into all the bathrooms, which is pretty exciting. A lot of custom tile work, a lot of rough plumbing, things moving around, and then there's some beautiful custom like backsplashes, I guess we'd call them, but it's marble work that's going to be displayed behind these clawfoot tubs that they're going to kind of be templated on site and custom made, polished, and mounted. So those are going to be really cool. I'm excited to see those come to life. And
yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's different than what we do every day. It's not a typical bathroom, and which are all the current stuff is super beautiful and a lot of good stuff going on now. This has just got a different flair because we're trying to mimic what this level of house would have had in the 1890s. The original designer of the house, it was a personal home for him, and he was a world-renowned, well-known, I guess, architect, really. And no detail was spared when he designed this house for himself. So bringing it back to life is just, it's been quite a journey, and just learning about his style and how his design influence is being picked up throughout the house. The different choices that he made, they kind of repeat, but it's really building on that. And then researching other projects that he did, it's good to compare and see, like the house we're working on, how his design influence actually affected a lot of other things. So when I see these other projects, I'm like, oh wow, that's exactly what we're kind of restoring within this home. A lot of the trim is really also really fun.
What other projects in New York did this designer work on, or that you're aware of, or architect?
He was he designed and was part of the building of the original Madison Square Garden.
Oh wow,
which was huge. And then the Washington Monument in New York City as well. Everyone knows what it looks like. It's kind of like a big arch out of stonework. So he's touching this project is just special because that this person who had these great architectural ideas and was forward thinking, we're getting to work on some of his stuff. Like this house was one of the first to have a poured concrete foundation for the time. So it's just
crazy.
And it's still standing. Like you said, when looking back at a lot of the building materials, a lot of the stuff, especially structurally, in this house is still there, and it's still in good shape. We had to do some other structural repairs and shore it up for, just time. But a lot of the walls, a lot of the main beams are still in place, still holding this house up, and it's a massive house. And it's just a testament to the materials that were used at the time. I don't know if the LVL that we put in today, or micro lambs, or obviously the 2x4s we talked about, I don't know if they're going to be around 200 years from now. They might not. I don't know if they're going to last. Hopefully they do. Hopefully some of the houses that you've touched or
Doubtful.
I've touched. Yeah, it would be nice though. Maybe 200 years from now they're renovating this house again, and they're like, oh, Seaview Contracting actually did a renovation here in 2025, and now it's 2125 and we're doing it again.
Dude, you should throw some cards in the walls.
Some pictures.
That'd be awesome. Cards. Yeah, some cards, some pictures. Because like the crazy part is if the builder of that project prior to you would have done something like that, just added to the character and the history and to the experience that you and your team get to experience. I have worked on a 100-year-old house, not 200-year-old house. But I've worked on a 100-year-old house, and it's kind of eerie when you're inside. There's just this, this kind of feeling when you're inside a place that has so much character or history behind it. So it's cool that you're working on that, and I love following it along.
It's wild because there's some areas of the house that are like 50 feet tall, incredible stonework, building these chimneys, and doing it today would be difficult. And it's on a cliff. Like doing it today would be difficult. So it's like you think back, and when the guys are on site, sometimes we start bullshitting, and we're like how did they get this piece of granite? Like obviously they probably built scaffolding or whatever, but you're talking 1890s. Like how did they get all this stuff 50 feet up in the sky without modern machinery that we have today. And even when you're touching the walls, you're like, someone was here so long ago doing similar stuff. They were, patching, plaster, or whatever. So it's very cool to be in the environment, and you kind of get the magic of the house when you're working on it. And you don't get that on, if I'm building a brand new house from scratch. You always want to do a good job and they come out beautiful, but you don't have that history and that soul. And we try to build it into projects that we do, but I don't know if we could ever build it the way that it was done that many years ago, which is something different.
What any ghosts? Any ghosts in there?
If there were, I would say that it would be friendly. Everyone always says, especially some of the subcontractors, like, oh, this place is, because you would think a haunted mansion on the hill. It has a very good vibe. Like the house has a good energy. So if there is some spirits roaming around, I think they would be good spirits.
They're happy. They're happy.
Sometimes at night I've been there at night before, and I left tools on the 3rd floor or the 4th floor or whatever, and it's dark, and you hear some noises, and I'm like, you know what? I'll come back tomorrow and get those tools. I'm not going to walk up to the 4th. If I'm by myself, I'm like, we need to lock up, get out of here.
Yeah. We'll so you're a little freaked out. You're a little on edge. It's
a huge house, though. It's not just for spirits. I mean, the house is enormous, so it's dark.
There could be somebody hiding in the corner.
Yeah,
no, you wouldn't even know. They could have been there for a week.
It's enormous. There's whole wings that you could get lost in. It's like a maze.
So what is the homeowner planning on doing with the house when they're done?
They use it. They live there now on the weekends.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's exciting because they're having a wedding eventually there. So we have a tight timeline. So I'm excited to, that's a huge goal for me, and not only a goal, it's almost like a mandate. Like I gotta get it done. But I'm excited to really bring it together for that special day for them.
Yeah. There's a little bit more pressure there. It's not like Christmas is around the corner when they've got a wedding. It's
a lot of guests coming. So I'm excited.
Yeah. You should be sweating just a little bit. How much time do you have to get it done?
I think the wedding's in October, but I'm giving myself like a late August deadline, so that I have a buffer. But I'm pushing, everybody. But we have it scheduled out pretty good. I got a new project management software that's helping with the scheduling, so that's been helpful. I learned about it in our community, which has been great. So I got it scheduled out really well, and so far so good. Knock on wood, we're staying on schedule, staying on task.
Good, man. Well, that's awesome. I'm sure there's going to be challenges that you're going to face with, a couple 100-year-old home, but I love the optimism and I love the energy. Obviously, it's not the only job that you're working on. You're in one of the biggest cities in America, and there's opportunity all around you. Yeah. So tell us, what outside of this large project that, kind of landed on your lap, what other projects do you got going on?
Right now, we got a couple of bathrooms going on in different areas of Long Island. And thankfully, those are fairly cut and dry. It's newer construction, so nothing too crazy there. So we got a couple of bathrooms that we're working on right now. They're pretty decent size, which is nice. One of them is for a nice older couple. We're making it a little more accessible. They had a tub. So now we're making it a full walk-in shower so that they can get in and out easily. We do some decks. We got some decks coming up right on the water, which are, always exciting. So we like to work outside right now the weather's beautiful. So working outside, building a deck is super awesome. Everyone enjoys that. Catch a little sun and, get that fresh air as opposed to be kind of tucked away in a basement or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome, man. I saw the other day on your story that you guys were on a ferry. Heading to a project. What were you doing there? That must be pretty unique.
Yeah, so Long Island, we have a couple little islands surrounding us. So Shelter Island is on the east end of Long Island. We have guys there today, actually. We're just doing a quick little kitchen facelift. It'll take about 2 weeks. We're replacing all the cabinet doors. We're adding some custom trim work. We're putting some white oak beams in there. Thankfully, the ferry ride's short, so it's like a 10-minute, 15-minute ferry back and forth, but that poses its own issues. So if you forget something, you're like, oh crap, I gotta jump on this freaking ferry and haul my ass, back onto the mainland, and then you're gonna kill a couple hours. But we've been pretty good, forward thinking, making sure before we get on the ferry, stop, wait 10 minutes, and make sure we're not forgetting anything, so we don't have to make a lot of those trips, which, cost time and money, obviously.
Right. No, that's awesome. Cool, man. Well, it sounds like you got lots of great projects on the go. You're in one of my favorite places in the world. I love New York. I know you're not in specifically New York, but you're relatively close enough anyway.
Yeah.
I've been there fortunately for lots of different special events for me anyway. And it's, it's a special place for me. It was kind of, I was raised in a small city, and our population was around 250,000 people. And, so I'm closed for several years of my life. And then the first time I went to New York, I was just like, look at all the fucking people. Like there's just people everywhere. I was like, look at all these potential customers. And my mind just was blown by the fact that, I'm forced to work in this small little community, really trying to dial in everything. And not necessarily you, but like in general, there's probably obviously a lot of competition, obviously in New York, right?
Yeah.
And surrounding areas. But it's just cool to be in such a relatively close to such a big place. Do you find that to be like a pro or a con to kind of just how you live life? Are you excited that you live where you are? Or are you just like, fuck, I'm kind of over it?
No, you know what? I love New York. I mean, I've been here my whole life, and, we do some work in the 5 boroughs of New York City. So anytime I've driven in there, like kind of the same thing happens. Like the city's electric. Anytime you go, especially Manhattan, and anytime you're in Manhattan, like the energy is usually good. And, there's so much construction going on the commercial side. But, we've done a couple of residential projects in there. And when you're there, you're like, the pure concentration of people in such a small area. You got, I think it's like 6 million people within a few square miles. Like, it's all, obviously vertical. It's just, it kind of gets that fire going under your ass again, where you're like, like the American dream's alive and well, and the possibilities are endless here. Like, especially in New York, you can get, if you go out and go after it, you can get as many customers as you want. You have the systems in place, and you hustle, you got to work. That's it. You got to work hard and, be fast. But, anytime going into the city, it always gives you a little of that, a little of that fire under your ass. And, there's also the history of the city, Ellis Island, all of our families coming over, and, the big immigration of America. But I absolutely love it. And then when I go into the city, I'm like, man, I could get so many customers here. And then when I do a job in the city, it's like, holy shit, this is so hard because there's nowhere to park. It's not easy to get materials in and out. Everything is 3 times as expensive once you get into Manhattan. Service elevators, and even just the red tape of the licensing and the municipalities and all that stuff, and getting garbage out of there, just so much more difficult. But there's a price tag that comes along with it, which is nice working in the city.
Yeah, no, man. I love it. Definitely next time I come to New York, I'm going to be making serious effort to connect with you and link up and get a little tour around your neighborhood.
I'll meet you right downtown. We'll go out.
No, that's awesome, man. Cool. Well, so you got a lot of great projects going on. You're in one of the best places in the world for me. You joined our community about 4 months ago. Yep. What is that? First off, why did you join the community? What was the expectation kind of entering into it? And then how has that been for you?
I was looking for something different. Online, there's a zillion people who could sell you ads or do whatever. And that's, obviously getting leads or whatever is great. But, start taking a business from scratch, 0, and growing it to, whatever number you could grow it to. It comes to a point where you need help, and you need a mentor. And I think that's a better way to put it. You need advice, or you need other people who are in a like situation that you can just feed off each other's energy and figure out how to get to that next level, and also get to that next level while maintaining, your quality of business, quality of work. We want to always do good, and it keeps me up at night if someone's not happy with something. And, I think this business is harder for contractors who are good and who care, because we want to do well. We want to, help our customers and do the right thing. We also want to grow our business. So it's nice really having a community where people are in the same boat as you, same, maybe size, revenue wise, or whatever. And you can kind of feed off each other. And then there's people who are ahead of you that you can learn from. And that's, I think, was the biggest piece for me, is like, how do you get to that next level? What else do I need to put in place? What systems do I need to really be able to handle an influx of work to make sure that we are able to complete it properly on time and keep the customers happy. So it's been great really learning from a lot of the other people and also taking ownership of some of my own stuff that I needed to make sure I was doing better myself, like social media and trying to be a little more proactive. And it's still something I'm always working on, but it was good to kind of almost look in the mirror a little bit. And by doing all that, the leads kind of organically will start coming and they do.
Mm-hmm. Cool, man. Well, it's the same kind of thing like when you talked about even with New York, the energy, because I feel it too.
Yeah.
When I enter into New York, I am immediately like electrified. Whatever's going on outside just doesn't really it doesn't have the ability of infiltrating. So it's the same kind of, I feel, same kind of energy that I would, assume it to be for you, where, when you come to the community, you feel like you have that electric support almost. One of the reasons why we created the community, or why I created this, was, I remember, working on that 100-year-old house that I was working on, and I was faced with some challenges, either with the client or with suppliers or with vendors or just on site.
Yeah.
And you can't really go to your employees and say, "Hey, man, I don't really know what the fuck to do here," because it's it's a bit of a kick in the dick, it's an ego thing as well. But to have the ability to have access to like-minded people that are all just supportive, that are all non-judgmental, that are all trying to do the same thing. They're not competing with you. They're not, they're not in your space. They're there to support you through that stuff. Really, for me, that's what it was exciting. And it's good for you to kind of mention a little bit of that, where, you get that kind of energy and that support through the community, because that was really important to me when we created it.
The greatest thing is we have this section, the weekly wins, right? And some nights this thing is fucking popping off. And I love that. So I'll be sitting on the couch at the end of the week, I might have just got my face kicked in all week with guys calling in sick, wrong material, damaged material, all the bad shit in the world that could happen on a job site. And then, I'm sitting on my couch going through the weekly wins, and it could be, maybe someone who's newer in the business being like, I got my first $10,000 job, which might be huge to them. And that's fucking awesome to be like, I remember my first 10K job. And then you could have someone else that's like, I just got my first 500K job, a single job, $500,000. And you're like, that's fucking right. I'm pumped to see that. And then all the little shit throughout the week kind of dissipated. You're like, what? I had one fucking damaged cabinet. We'll fix it. It'll be all good in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is. But this guy could have the best day of his life in Calgary or wherever the heck some of the guys are from, and his first 10K job. And tonight he's celebrating with his family because that's a huge milestone for him, and it should be. So I love when that group weekly wins is popping off, and everyone's feeding off each other, and then it kind of it gets a little momentum, it gets legs, and then someone's throwing in even a small win, hey, no big win this week, but fuck it, I got a $1,500 spackle job done. Let's go. Everyone's pumped.
Man, I love it. And
I like when it's going up.
Everybody's business. The crazy part is somebody messaged me the other day in the DMs, and they were like, "Yeah, I just think I'm too small." And I was like, "Dude, I got a guy who just started his business literally last week."
Yeah.
Nobody's too small. You know what I mean? You've been in business for a while. Chad, for example, he's been in business for 25 years, did everything himself for the longest time. And then we told him, "Hey man, you got to sub this shit out." And he's like, "What do you mean? I got to hire other people?" I was like, "Yeah, you got to sub this shit out." Now his business looks nothing like what it did before. And I know you guys vibe and you guys are super busy, both of you in the community. And I love that about you. I love the energy. I love the fact that you're there, and I love what you bring to the table. But I also, I love seeing you grow and develop. And so as a part of the community, you did implement a few things. You talked about the new construction management software. What's a couple takeaways in the last couple months that you've noticed internally with yourself, with your business, that have started to grow in addition to the management software?
I would say accountability and really looking in the mirror and being like, what am I doing wrong? Or maybe that's not the right way to say it, but what could I do better? And I think that's probably been the biggest piece. And yes, the project management software is super helpful, but it's just, learning a different way to do things. Just because you've done it one way forever doesn't mean that's the right way. So I would say that's been a huge piece. And then, making sure that I get those weekly wins, because I want to pop off on a Friday. So that kind of feeds it a little bit too. But definitely the accountability part, especially with the like social media, where you need a social media presence nowadays. Like, people aren't going to websites anymore, or if they do, it's real quick to make sure you're actually in existence. People want to see what you're doing on social media, see that you're active. And I know before I met you and got involved with this group, I wasn't doing that nearly enough. And I still can obviously get a lot better at it, but it's like, I know when I'm talking to you once a week or even more than once a week, I just want to make sure that I'm like, what, did I put in the work to really, move the needle? And if I didn't, I've told you before, hey, shitty week. I didn't move the needle. I didn't do anything, and that's on me. But it's good to look in the mirror and be like, I didn't do what I need to do to grow my business. Maybe that was a harder week with just managing expectations of clients and jobs and all that. But this business has many facets, so we got to make sure that we're working on all of them at all times.
No. And that's the thing too. Like, there are different levels to this business. In construction, you start out level one, do the old school tactics. I got some guys that don't have a lot of capital that are really struggling. We went back to the basics, where it's like, knock on a fucking door, and put together a letter, create some no-name signs, and put them out in the streets. I'm working with one guy in Vancouver, Lower Vancouver, and he's like, "This isn't gonna work." I was like, "Trust me, it'll work. Trust me, it'll work." He got 3 jobs ready in like 2 weeks. And, he's super excited because he was like, I just didn't believe it was going to work. Like, I thought I had to spend a bunch of money on ads. And at the end of the day, there's like so many organic tactics that we need to perfect before we start investing money on ads. Even for you, like, we're not even necessarily jumping into that space. But when we do jump into that space, if we perfect the organic strategy, the sales strategy, and we're constant in on social media, and we're checking off these boxes that we need to, then when we make this investment in an ad or in a lead, where there's a higher probability of us closing that, because we don't want to throw money away and not have the ability of actually closing a deal. So I know that that's kind of one of your next levels to your business is, incorporating ads, incorporating a virtual assistant. What are some other kind of key things that you're excited about looking forward to implementing in your business over the next, 3 months? Just what are some things that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, really streamlining the back office stuff, because I like being out in the field. I like customer facing situations. I like doing the sales. So any of the back end stuff, with the VA or even the project management stuff, getting that a lot more dialed in and just cleaned up, tight, and systematic. I look forward to that, where it kind of frees up the time for me to work on growing the business and that customer facing role, which I like. Like, I got into this because I like that customer facing role. I didn't get into it to be sitting behind a computer in my basement office, so that's the stuff I want to, that's the stuff I want to push away, push off to the VA, and really build some systems and SOPs around that kind of thing. So that's where I'm really hoping to get this, move the business in the next few months. And then really that big project that we've been talking about is just, I'm really excited to see this house come to life, because we've been working on it for a couple of years now, and it's really, I'm just excited to really bring it all together now with all the final touches over the next few months, and really see this thing like come back to the grandeur that it had in the 1800s. And I hope that when they have their party, it's it looks like people are stepping back in time, because that's the type of house. So that would be probably more of a personal goal versus business, but I guess it's one and the same at this point.
Well, this is not a coaching call, but I am going to just remind you the importance of capturing the content on this house. So create a separate album in your photo for this project, if you haven't already, and literally take like hundreds of photos. Every day you're there on site, take photos, and then be mindful of also the locations that you're taking photos in, so that you could take like, almost like a carousel style image of how the transformation comes to life. Because at the end of the day, if you're not, like we talk about all the time, if you're not showing what you're capable of doing, just because you've got this great experience happening today, it doesn't mean that you can show the next client 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 years from now what you're capable of. That'll just be a memory for you. So it needs to be almost like a portfolio of what you're truly capable of. So make sure that you're taking a shitload of photos. Not that this is supposed to be a coaching call, but
No, but
make sure that you're taking.
The new software has like a daily log thing, so it's been helpful because I've been, just for the clients can see it. So every day not every day, but I'm updating the daily log a couple times a week, and that's forcing me to take photos as we're going. And now that's stored within the software, which is great because I can always go back and access it whenever I need, very specific to a date, to a job. So it's super cool. But yeah, I gotta and the house is so beautiful that the content's just there. It's just there for you to make it.
Yeah.
And
Don't waste it.
You can't.
I love it, man. Awesome. Any other thing that you'd like to share with us? You guys got a vacation coming up, don't you, right away?
Yeah, me and the wife are going away for a little bit to celebrate her birthday and hang out with a couple other friends. So we're excited about that. Going to Ireland.
Awesome.
Yeah, it'll be good. And then
have you ever been there?
Never. I like to travel when I can, Yeah, I wish that I could disconnect a little bit better than I do, but I'll still be checking emails and everything that you kind of have to do, but I'll limit it so I don't get yelled at.
Yeah. You gotta make sure that she has an incredible experience, man. That's awesome that you guys are going
that'll be fun.
a good trip. Anything else you'd like to share with us about your experience with the community, about, some of the things that, you're focused on? I mean, you talked about some personal goals about that transformation, but is there anything else, that you'd like to share with us before we wrap this up?
No, nothing specific except that, it's been a great learning experience in the community, really learning from a lot of other people, and excited to be part of it. And, it has an energy and it's got legs, and I'm really, seeing it grow has been great too. And, on your end, you're growing that business. It's really exciting to see that. And then as the group grows, there's just so many more resources too. So you have an accountant that are on there, you have social media people, you have designers, and, like last week, that the guy from Google that used to work at Google was teaching us or kind of explaining to us a lot of the ins and outs of that. That's invaluable stuff that, you would have to scour the internet or really put the time in. And we kind of had it like on a platter delivered to us, which was super cool. So super excited about that, and a lot of different things to implement. Sometimes it's a lot because you're doing your business and there's like, you want to do it all, and then you're like, wait, I need to like bite size this thing, or else you'll never get there if you try to do everything in a week. You got to just grow on growth, baby steps, and kind of always move forward, keep moving on forward and get it done. But no, it's been great, and learned a lot, and a lot of good people.
Love that, man. Yeah, there is definitely. I not that I'm trying to promote the community or anything like that, but I put a lot of fucking work into trying to find really resourceful tools. Those weekly calls that we have are not specific to like anything, but they are a resource that all of us need, and all of us will and have utilized before in the past. And so just really, I'm scouring the internet trying to find these people because I know that I needed that in my business. And definitely I always needed, somebody that was really, really good at ads. And there's a lot of posers out there, let's call it, that are running these ad campaigns that are literally just fucking bullshit. You don't even know what you're spending your money on. Yeah. You don't even know what you're spending your money on. To have, somebody like Brendan in our community as an educator, previously employed with Google in the ad space, is like, it's a game changer.
And he knows his shit. You could tell when you're talking to him, he knows his shit. And he's like, I have a call booked with him to, just kind of do like a site audit and make sure that we're optimized and running efficiently, et cetera. But, you can tell he's not a poser. Like, he knows his stuff, and, you would be glad to work with him because he comes across as a professional.
I've been running ads for a long time, especially in this coaching space. There's all kind of coaches out there, and not really in construction, but they're starting to kind of trickle in the pipeline. I noticed a little bit. You even had mentioned that, right when you started working with me, and then all of a sudden all my competitors were landing in your profile. And what they're actually doing is they're just copying my ads. So it's flattering that they're copying my ads. But now that I have Brendan on our team, he actually refined all of our ad strategies. Nice. And I have the best pipeline of contractors coming in through the ads because of him. He's actually working with a few other contractors in our community as well, running their Google ads. But I mean, those are just some of the resources that, I'm thankful to be surrounded by, because like the impact for you and everybody else in the community will be life-changing, truly life-changing, because instead of you trying to figure this shit out on your own, we have a group of people that are actively just finding solutions to help your business grow. And I love hearing about your business grow. It's exciting. I love our, our text messages outside of our coaching calls and our conversations. And, that stuff's really important to me. And I'm sure it's important to you.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for you that you spent the time today. I know you guys are going on a trip. I know you got to pack, probably get ready to go. But I appreciate this. If anybody wants to follow that project that you're working again, can you plug that one more time? Where can they follow you on Instagram?
Yeah, it's at Seaview _contracting _LLC.
All right, perfect. We got to post it up right there. So if anybody wants to follow along with the journey with Steve and this incredible project, make sure to go pop in there, give him a follow. And if you want to learn about your, how we can help you change your business, you can just drop me a quick DM at @the_contractor coach. You can find me right there and drop me a DM, just DM coach, and we will help you change your business. I promise. Thanks again. Make sure to tune in next week. We will have a new speaker. Great conversation, and appreciate you, Steve. Thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you. Have a good one, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.